Hey everybody, Matthew and Leland here from MiniWarGaming.com, and we are proud to present the beginning of a series of videos that will be reviewing the new Adeptus Mechanicus stuff. So this is going to be a series, not just because we want to make more than one video, but because not everything's been released yet.
No, we still have another wave at least.
Yeah, so at the time of you watching this video, there's been the 2 waves of releases, but we've only actually received the models from the first wave, which includes the walkers, the dragoon, and the vanguard, and some of the Skitarii, yeah. And the second wave, which has already been announced and is already available in the White Dwarf, we're going to talk about that in this first burst of videos. And then when the Codex comes out and more models come out, there will be more videos as well. So there's no planned schedule for when you're going to see these. I just know that you're going to see the first few in a row, and then when the next wave comes out, then we're going to make some more, and so on and so forth. And so because the Codex hasn't yet come out, we're not going to yet, at this point, discuss the ramifications of things like allies or just overall how they're going to interact with a lot of other things in the universe. We're going to more just, for these first few videos, discuss what has been released. The weapons, the models, not so much a review of the models, but the rules for those models and how they can actually work in the game. And we're gonna try to limit ourselves in talking about the allied stuff, like sticking them in drop pods and everything else that will really go along with them, and just talk about their strengths and weaknesses that we perceive to be the case.
Yeah. So really internal. We're really internalizing this.
Yeah. So just basically, this will allow you to get a general idea of how the rules work and what implications that might have. So obviously, once we throw in allies such as inquisitors and drop pods and land raiders and flyers that can transport them, then everything can change, and obviously there'll be some combos that will happen. So this first video, we're going to focus from the White Dwarf magazine issue 61, and this is our first look at the rules of the new models. And so we've got actually the models here. We've got the Dragoon and the Iron Strider, which is a walker that you can build from one kit. You can make one or the other. And then the other one is the Vanguard and the Rangers, which is a box of 10 models that you can build to be one or the other. So these first 2 to 4 videos are going to be covering that. And of course, every other video is going to be in the MiniWarGaming Vault. So each video will be complete in that we'll talk about a certain thing. And then the next video will be at the link below, in the video description below, and it'll be for MiniWarGaming Vault members only. And so if you're not a Vault member, you can still click on it and get a free 7-day trial, get instant access to all the extra videos that are there, and be able to participate in that. And if you don't want to keep it, you can just cancel before the 7 days are over, and you won't have to pay anything. So even if you don't want to pay, you can still get access to it. But we think that you'll want to stick around. Most people who try out the Vault end up keeping it, and it helps support us too.
That's how they hooked me.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. So let's get started. So let's start in the weapons section. So what are the main weapons, or the main rules that are kind of brought in with the new Skitarii weapons?
Well, they got the one that I really like, and that's the one I'm going to start with, is they have these rad style weapons, which are really neat. And they come like pistol form. There's a rifle, and then there's the radium carbine, which is their rapid firing one. Now the reason I like this is like they have good stats on their own. But the main reason I really like these is because of their rad rule that they have. Where on a roll of a 6 to wound, they're doubling the wounds, and these ones are being allocated and saved against separately.
So it means that if it's just 1 wound per guy, and you roll a 6, it could kill 2 guys. It's not like each guy who suffers an unsaved wound takes 2 wounds. It's you roll a 6. And it's 2 wounds thrown in the pool that act just like any other wound. Yeah,
so you're basically getting double the effects out of that one. I really like that one quite a bit, and the fact that they're radium carbines, they're the standard thing. Like they're the standard weapon that these guys have.
And they have really 3 shots each, 18-inch range.
Yeah.
So they're Assault 3, not rapid fire.
Yeah, sorry, they're not rapid fire. They're the Assault 3.
Yeah. Or the pistol.
Yeah, I was thinking of the Ark stuff. I think. Yeah, I was thinking of the Ark Weapons.
Yeah. So what do you think about the fact that the weapons are by default strength 3?
I think because you have that chance of getting that double wound, the strength 3 isn't as important. Just because you're on 3s, you're wounding most rank and file guys like guardsmen, Eldar, Tau. You're going to be wounding them in the 4s anyway. A little bit of a tougher time against the Marines, the toughness 4 style stuff. until you roll that 6.
Right.
And once you roll that 6, that's where things are really going to get fun, especially if you happen to have special weapons clustered together or something like that, and you're forcing them to take saves on all of that at once.
Now, one thing that should be should be pointed out, if we're looking at it from a mathematical statistical point of view, which I love to do, when you roll a d6 and you count all 6s as 2 hits, essentially what you're doing is, on average, if you're rolling a bunch of them, you're just making it so that you wound 1 better. And the reason for that is if you kind of look at a d6 roll and the results, you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 as all your results. Let's say that you had to get a 4+. Well, in a normal roll, you're going to get 3 out of 6 of those 4+. But because of the rad rule, the 6 counts as 2, so you're actually going to get 4 out of 6, or the equivalent of hitting on 3+, if you think about it. If you're wounding on a 5+, normally you'd get 2 hits. But because 6 counts as 2, you're going to get 3 out of 6. So this only works, of course, when you're rolling lots of dice. When you're rolling them individually, then the average still works out the same. And so what that means is that the rad rule becomes more effective, or at least it adds more of a hit the higher the toughness that you're shooting against. So if you're up against toughness, now can't hurt toughness 7, so that's a big disadvantage. Not that there's a lot of toughness 7. You got your Catan, which nobody's going to bring. You've got your Wraith Knights.
Well, remember, part of the rad rule is that on a roll of a 6, you're still wounding it. Yeah, it says it...
regardless of the target's toughness?
Yep.
Oh.
Yep.
I missed that part.
Oh, that's why I love these things.
So, and that even works against a Gargantuan.
Yeah.
Because right now the Gargantuan just ignores specific things. No, you're right.
Yep.
Wow, okay, that actually made it a lot better.
Yeah, that's why I absolutely love these as their standard guns. And the fact that they're Assault 3 as well. I mean, you're throwing just a metric ton of shots at them.
Yeah, you combine that with, when we'll talk about it later, with the fact that they can buff their ballistic skill and be hitting on 2s or even better. And then you're still depending on 6s, but because each 6 counts as 2, that makes a big difference. So all I'm trying to say with the whole looking statistically is if you're hitting something that's toughness 2, you're not getting the statistically much of an improvement, because normally you'd wound them on 3s, so you'd get 4 out of 6, and now you're wounding them with 6 count as 2. Now it's kind of equivalent to wounding them on 2, so it's only going from 4 to 5 out of 6 hits. Whereas when you're going, especially once he's introduced to toughness 7 and 8, it's an infinite increase because you're going to get 0. But now 6s count as a wound. But just pretending that the 6 counted as a wound anyways, you're doubling the number of wounds that you'd inflict. And once you see this combination with some of the other weapons, like the Radium Jezzail, which I think is going to be one of those things that you see a lot of on the, I think it's the Dragoon that takes it.
Yeah, the Dragoon replaces his, I think it's his Taser Lance or his Taser Goad. Yeah,
his close combat weapon with the Radium Jezzail. So let's talk about the Radium Jezzail for a second. The Radium Jezzail is a sniper. A sniper weapon that's 2 shots, so it wounds on 4s, except against Gargantuans, it wounds on 6s, and it has a range of 30 inches, but it's heavy too. But right now, the only thing that we've seen that can take it is the Dragoon, which is a walker, which is relentless,
so it
and gets to move 9 inches. So it's got a good threat range of about 39 inches.
Oh yeah.
So, but here's the cool thing: this Radium Jezzail is just a sniper. It's just a regular sniper, but it has the rad rule. And so when you look at that, what happens when a sniper rolls a 6 to wound?
Well, it's going to become AP2.
That's one thing. Yeah.
Precision shot, isn't it? Yeah.
That's right.
So you're getting precision shot as well.
So you get to choose where it gets allocated. Is what precision shot does. Of course.
So if you're rolling boxcars on that one, all of a sudden you're now allocating 4 wounds to whatever you want. Like obviously
AP2.
AP2. Now obviously you can still take look answer rolls for this one, but if you're looking at a squad of like a Devastator squad or something like that, where you want to take out all the heavy weapons and you don't care about the sergeant. You know, you just apply it to all those guys. No lookout, sir. All AP2. That's 4 dead Marines.
Yeah. Now that's assuming you roll boxcars. Like,
yeah.
But the thing is with the Dragoon squad, which we'll get into later, is that you can bring them from 1 to 6 of them for pretty cheap, 45 points each, considering that they're walkers. And all of a sudden, they each have 2 shots, relentless. They could be buffed to hitting on 2s, but even if they stay with their regular ballistic skill of 4 and they're hitting on 3s, then you have a lot of shots going in. Let's say you just have 3 of them. That's all of a sudden 6 shots with a threat range of 39 inches and hitting on 3s, and you're going to get 1 or 2 6s probably in there, even if you just get 1 6. And if, let's say you're fighting against a Space Marine tactical squad, you get 1 6, and that's AP2, and you put it on the missile launcher and on the flamer, or on the Melta, and on the flavor, or whatever it is that they decide to bring.
Whatever you want to take out.
Yeah, it's not as big a deal against just a squad of guys who are all exactly the same. Yeah. Like a squad of Necron warriors, unless they have a Cryptek with them, who can do a 2+ lookout, sir.
Yeah, those generic just bodies to fill up the board thing, not as effective against it.
But most armies will have special weapons within a squad.
Well, think about if you have like a marker light in a Tau squad or something like that, being able to remove that marker light.
Yeah, and they only get usually a lookout, sir, and a 4+. Yeah. Because it would just be the sergeant, the Shazwi, who has that. And, so the radium Jezzail equipped on a Dragoon seems like, I think that's what you're going to be seeing. I don't. Once we talk about the Dragoon, you'll see all the different things it has, but I think you'll see the radium Jezzail as opposed to the Taser, just because of the effective long-range shooting that it has.
I've already had these thoughts of running a squad of 3 or 4 of these things, like a squadron of these, all with the Jezzail, and because that's a lot of shots. Like each one of these is heavy too. So that's a lot of shots going out. That's a lot of potential for the precision shot, a lot of potential for the AP2. And you can make a squad disappear with a good roll, easily.
Yeah, or at least neuter the squad by taking out the things that they care about most. Yeah. So that's really cool. So that's the rad weapon. So like we said, we had 3 forms. Just the pistol, the carbine, and the sniper. The sniper being a little shorter range than most snipers, but still made up for that by the fact that it's on a very mobile firing base.
Yeah, exactly.
Just a little quick note, we have to splice this right in here. We got a rule wrong.
Yes.
So with precision shots, I don't know how I missed this, is to hit rolls of 6 that are precision shot. And then the radium stuff and the AP2 stuff is to wound rolls of 6. So you're not rolling a 6 to wound and then getting precision shot. So when you roll to hit, any 6s are precision shot. You can allocate those to the special weapons and you roll to wound, but it's only AP2 and 2 hits if you actually roll a 6 again. So apologies for that. It's still a great weapon.
Oh yeah.
But it's not going to be the automatic special weapon killer that we thought it was. Let's talk about the Transuranic Arquebus. So that's one thing that's going to be fun, is everybody trying to pronounce these and remember how to say these without reading them.
I'm not going to try, to be honest. It's that other gun.
The Transuranic Arquebus. This is another sniper that they have access to, but unlike the other sniper, this is a 60-inch range one, and it's AP3. Yeah.
Now, I really like this one. Like we were discussing this earlier. I like this because you can put it on a relentless platform. That's an AP3 shot. That's a sniper shot. That's relentless. Because all the Skitarii have the relentless rule.
Yeah, they do. The Vanguard do,
and the Rangers should as well.
The Rangers do as well.
So, like, I've always been a big fan of sniper rifles. I've always wanted them to be better, and now we have an AP3 sniper rifle. That's great, and because it's on a relentless platform, the 30-inch range, it's not as big a deal. Or sorry, 60-inch range. Sorry.
60. Well, the fact that it's a heavy is not a big deal.
Yeah,
anymore.
The fact that it's a heavy is not a big deal.
So you can actually, with the Vanguard, if you have a squad of 10 of them, you could bring 4 of these.
Is it 4? I thought it was only 3.
Well, it says here, oh no, sorry,
up to 2
you're 3.
Plus,
the Alpha, so the Sergeant can take one.
Okay, yeah, the Alpha can take one as well.
And then up to 2 Skitarii Vanguard may replace the radium carbines with 1 item from the special weapons list, and this is on that. So you could have this relentless group running around, and the other thing that it has is Armor Bane.
Yeah.
I don't think that's going to be a big deal.
No.
Because it's strength, because you count sniper weapons as strength 4 against vehicles. So strength 4 Armor Bane, even light vehicles, Armor 10. Yeah, sure, you roll. It's not hard to roll a 6 on 2 dice, but it's only AP3. So it'll be a nice just-in-case kind of thing.
It is. It means that that's another shot that you can potentially put into a light vehicle if you need to.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is really nice.
So I'm curious to see how people are going to try to use that. Will they bring 3 of them in a squad of Vanguard, or will they bring 1 of them with 2 of the Ark Weapons, which we'll talk about in a second? Or will they try something else with them? Can the Rangers take them as well? They can. Yeah. Same idea.
You
can have up to 3 of them in the Ranger squad.
My initial impression of them is, as much as I like them, I do think they're going to be an all or nothing type of weapon.
So all 3 or none?
Yeah, I think you either take all 3 of them, or you don't bother with it at all.
Well, you're gaining AP3.
Yeah.
And so when you're fighting at a lot of Marine equivalent squads, then once again you've got your sniper, which can become AP2, but even if it doesn't, you're still ignoring their armor.
Yeah.
So it's really good. And it's only 1 shot, but because they're relentless, at least it doesn't slow down their mobility.
Exactly. And because it does have the sniper rule to it, that's also a precision shot as well if you roll a 6.
Yes, which of course we've already talked about the advantages of that, getting AP2 and getting to allocate it. Yeah. So let's talk about the Ark Weapons. These are probably my favorite. Yours is the Rad. I do love the Rad weapons. The Ark ones I thought were pretty spectacular.
It's because of haywire.
Because they're haywire. An arc weapon is a ranged weapon with haywire, and it's even better than that. They're strength 6.
Yes.
Right now we have the arc pistol and arc rifle, and it's pretty straightforward. The pistol 12-inch, and the rifle is 24-inch rapid fire.
Yeah.
They're just AP5, but with haywire, who cares? But they're strength 6.
Yeah.
So these things, and you're once again putting them on relentless guys.
Yeah.
So you could rapid fire and still charge in. But haywire, shooting haywire. Like you get a squad, and this is where I think that you're right, that you're not going to see, it's going to be an all or nothing thing. You're not going to see like just a Vanguard take one.
No.
You're going to see 3 guys take one. And because you can have a minimum squad of 5, and then you could just have 3 of them with these, like you could really kit out this vehicle destroying group, because even at long range, they're getting 3 shots, hitting on 3s, and then anything that hits is pretty much going to cause a hull point, because it's 2+ with haywire. If you're not familiar with how haywire works, instead of rolling vehicle penetration, you roll a d6. On a 1, nothing happens. 2 to a 5, it's a glancing hit, and a 6 is a 10. So you even have that chance to do a penetrating hit.
The arc rifles themselves, to me, actually seem like they're a more effective way of taking out the big heavy tanks like Land Raiders. Like this is more effective than a melt-a-gun, really.
Well, yeah, because you're almost guaranteed a hull point to come off.
Well, exactly.
And you got more than 1 shot. Meltas are usually, you got 1 shot, and then, unless you're like some huge heavy weapons platform, like a vehicle, in which case you're paying for all those extra buffs. But I hate single-shot weapons. It just usually sucks. But all of a sudden you put 3 of these in a squad, and at rapid-fire range or Melta range, usually the Melta will get us 2d6, but these guys get 6 shots instead of 3.
And in this case, you're not hoping for that roll of a 6 to take out the thing on 1 shot. You're just thinking anything higher than a 1 is fantastic.
Yeah, not a big deal.
Like you don't care about penetrating with the arc stuff. You just want to get in there. You just want to hit it and strip it of wounds.
Yeah.
Or strip it of hull points, right?
And if you're up against something that's not a vehicle, strength 6.
Yeah.
Like, come on. So they are an expensive upgrade to the guys that you put them on compared to the points that they already are. But I think basically the guys are cheap because you're going to be throwing so many points into their upgrades. So you have the choice of bringing them cheap or bringing them with, anti-vehicle or anti-whatever.
Yeah.
Then we have the, if we're looking at special weapons, they have other weapons too, but the ones that I really care about are the ones that have the new special rules. So we have the cognis weapons. Now, cognis is pretty straightforward. How does that work?
Well, the whole idea behind cognis is that when you're firing snapshots, you're now doing it on ballistic skill 2. That's
what are
huge.
the implications of being able to always hit on 5s when firing snapshots?
Well, this was a fun discussion we actually had about this. Because I was talking about using it as an anti-air platform, and I believe you were saying, well, you weren't quite sure. You weren't quite sold on the idea of some cognis autocannons until I pointed out that you're snap firing at flyers.
Yeah, in my head, I thought it was just Overwatch. But it's all snapshots,
Specifically
including
says
Overwatch.
Snapshots, exactly.
It even says including Overwatch, so there's no ambiguity there.
What makes this even better, especially in my mind, is that it doesn't have the Skyfire rule. So this means that you can fire at flyers at ballistic skill 2, but you can still fire at all those ground units as well at your regular ballistic skill. So you're not forced to choose one target for the entire game. So it's not like other Skyfire platforms where, once you take out that one flyer, it's just snap shooting at everything for the rest of the game, right?
Exactly.
You have that freedom to jump between targets if you need to, which is really nice.
And the platform it comes on, of course, is the Iron Strider.
The Ballistari, I think. Yeah, it's like the Iron Strider Ballistari or something like that.
Yeah, and that it comes with twin linked.
Yeah.
So you're hitting on 5s, twin linked, which is good as hitting on almost as good as hitting on 3s. It's more like a 4+. And they've got, if the autocannon's 2 shots, or you can swap it out for a 1-shot strength 9 AP2 last cannon. More expensive, and we could argue the statistics behind that, but both are effective.
Oh yeah.
And but the fact that they they snap shoot on 5s, I think that we can talk about it being good in Overwatch, but Overwatch is going to be so-so because you only got so many shots.
Yeah.
But I think what you're right is that they can act as an anti-aircraft platform without having to be an anti-aircraft platform.
Exactly.
So they can still turn their weapons. Like if they're all last cannons, then hey, there's a vehicle over there, let's fire at that. Oh, look, there's a flyer. We're not quite as effective at firing at that, but we're more effective than the guy beside us. Let's take it out.
Yeah.
And at the very least, you're going to be forcing all these flyers to jink because they can't be comfortable anymore.
Which in and of itself is a huge deal.
Yeah, because before it'd be like, I'm firing one last cannon at the flyer. Do you want to jink? And he's like, I don't care. It's a 1 in 6 chance you even hit. And then there's even a small chance that you won't even pen. So I'm just going to ignore that.
Yeah,
but all of a sudden you're saying, I'm going to fire 3 last cannons at you that are twin-linked and hit on 5s, they're going to be like, yeah, I'll jink.
Yep.
I don't think anybody's going to say, no, I'm not going to jink. Unless they already have some sort of save.
Like, could you imagine 6 of these things running around with the cognis las cannons?
Yeah, that'd be scary.
Yeah.
Or 2 groups of 3.
Or 2 groups
so
of
that
3.
they have that much more mobility, so one can take out one flyer.
But still, just that much las cannon fire going into the air if you need to, right?
And it's not super expensive. They're 75 points per las cannon, including the model that they're on. So that's not the cheapest way to do it, but of course it's still not super expensive when you compare what other armies have to bring.
Well, it does mean that you do have a las cannon that's immune to a lot of small arm fire.
Yeah.
Which is really nice. Like
anything less than strength 5 can't even touch it.
Yeah, like Tau rank and file will be able to glance it to death maybe.
Oh yeah,
but
yeah, they'll take them out.
Yeah, but bolters and las guns, they're not touching it. So that means that your opponent's even having to dedicate an anti-tank weapon to it.
Yeah, it's several anti-tank weapons because a squad of walkers is annoying to take care of.
Yeah.
Because there's no efficient way to take care of a squad of them because of the way the wounds get, or the hits get allocated.
Yeah. So the cognis weapons are really nice for that. Like they have a really nice thing going for them.
Then we've got the phosphor weapons, and after this we have the taser, and I think that'll be the end of our weapons discussion. Yeah. There's other upgrades and stuff. So the phosphor weapons are really cool. I love how they have all these different rules because people are going to find different combinations and things that these will be useful with. So the phosphor weapons are they're strength 5. There's a pistol version and there's a serpenta or a serpenta version, which is just a single shot strength range 18. But they're strength 5 AP4, and in the current meta there is a lot of 4+ armor save stuff out now. Like pretty much every army is going to be bringing something that's 4+ armor, except for some of your more elite armies. Yeah. But for the most part, there's somebody you can fire it at that'll be useful. But they both have the Luminogen special rule. And that is basically if you manage to make them suffer an unsaved wound, glancing, or penetrating hit, then you can place some sort of marker beside them to remember, because you'll probably forget otherwise. But they count their cover save as being 1 point worse than normal until the end of the phase. Yep. So it's a marker, like, kind of.
Well, it also allows you to reroll your charge distance.
Oh, yes. Furthermore, units can reroll the dice to determine their charge range against the afflicted unit until the end of the turn. Because we saw that a lot of the guys don't have fleet. Yeah. They don't have. They might have their Dune Strider, which we'll talk about, which lets them move further, but they don't have any way to, effectively get into close combat besides just being fast. And so this essentially doesn't give them fleet. It's not as good as fleet, but it lets them reroll their charge distance. So
now I know we'll go into this later, but something I actually just read as well. It also sounds like that it doesn't have to be an Ad Mech unit that benefits from that.
Furthermore, units can reroll the dice to determine their charge range. Yeah, so we're not.
We'll discuss it more later. But I actually just read that and realized it as well.
Yeah, it's not just Ad Mech units. Basically, you've lit them up. There's some sort of flare on them, quasi searchlight, and everybody else is going to get. Now it doesn't influence the one that's being shot, because it's once they suffer an unsaved wounds, that assumes that they've already made their cover saves, or armor saves, or whatever. It's furthermore, so you kind of treat it like marker lights. Sure, it could do some damage, but I have a funny feeling it won't, because or not much, because it has to do damage in order for it to work. Yeah, because you're looking at a pistol, a single shot, or an assault 1 weapon. So that can be interesting to kind of kit out a squad with that, and you can treat them like Tau marker lights, where you shoot at a squad, light them up, and somebody else is going to charge them, or somebody else is going to fire at them, would really help. Because cover saves are really rampant now.
Well, they're everywhere.
In 40K. A lot of things come with ways to give nearby units cover saves. It's not just the Tyranid Venom Throps anymore. There's other ones that can do that. A lot of things come with stealth, or come with shrouded. And so the ability, and of course the cover itself, just being in cover, so the ability to just even lighten that a little bit can make all the difference.
Yeah, no, it's a nice little thing. It can even be paired with another piece of war gear, which we'll get to eventually as well, which is the Omnispecs, I believe.
Now, I guess, going back to this for 1 second though, there is an interesting rules discussion. Is it cumulative? Because it says a unit that suffers 1 or more unsaved wounds, glancing, or penetrating hits caused by a weapon with the special rule counts its cover saves as being 1 point worse than normal until the end of the phase. So it says a weapon. That's the problem. What do you think? Do you think that if a unit with 3 of the weapons fires and they suffer 3 unsaved wounds, would they be 3 less cover save? Or would it just be 1?
I'm inclined to say it's only going to be 1 less. And the only reason I feel that way is that I have come across other rules that do specify when it's cumulative.
Right.
Like I think one of the assassins operates that way with where things can become cumulative with it, like cumulative negative effects, or like take the banishment psychic ability the Grey Knights have, where it specifically states that multiple effects of banishment are cumulative on the model.
No, but in that case, though, the banishment one, it's a malediction, and typically a unit can't have the same malediction cast on it more than once if it's successful. And so maybe that's why they're specifying it, because the rules already clearly say that it normally wouldn't be cumulative. Now, I'm not going to try to say that, yeah, you'll get to stack this. I'm just saying that, unfortunately, it's not 100% clear.
No, I think we need to dig around some other rules and just see if there's a precedent for this one.
Yeah, which unfortunately usually leads to a nice big raw versus rye debate, because precedents usually get, you can explain away a precedent.
Yeah.
And so it's just, so we'll have to see. I think, because it says a weapon with a special rule counts its cover saves as being 1 point. And so let's say it's already 1 point worse, and then they suffer another unsaved wound by a weapon with a special rule.
But at the same time,
and then it counts as being as 1 save again. I think it stacks.
But it also says counts its Ark cover saves as being 1 point worse than normal. So regardless of how you modify it, normal is always going to be whatever that original cover save was.
But then you have Shrouded and Stealth that could modify the cover save. So what is your normal cover save? See, this is the problem with poorly written rules and not having standards, is that you can start to interpret it. So I can see both sides. I don't even know which side I care to back. I'm just saying that there is now going to be a good interpretation. There's going to have to be some sort of consensus, or at least a house rule, that wherever you play will have to create until there is an FAQ, which is never.
Yeah.
But it is a thing, because I wouldn't argue that it's too powerful, because you have to hit them subsequent times and wound them subsequent times with these phosphor weapons. Now, the real question is, if you, let's say, I'm not sure who can take these yet. I haven't looked at it.
I think the
is it under the special weapons?
I think it's, no, I don't think it's under the special.
It's just under ranged weapons.
Yeah, so I think it's just the Vanguard Alpha.
Okay, so you're only going to have, but then who has them by default? Because there's no.
Yeah, I think it's just the alphas that can take them. So the Vanguard or the Ranger alphas.
And then the Vanguard. Yeah, it doesn't say they can replace them.
Yeah, because it just says that the Ranger Alpha or the Vanguard Alpha can take.
Oh, here we are.
Items from
the Dragoons can.
Oh,
any model may take a Phosphor Serpenta, so you could have more than one in the same unit. And then the.
And that's the Serpenta, right?
The Iron Strider doesn't have that option.
Okay, so the blast pistol is under the ranged weapon, so the alphas can take the pistol.
But I'm just trying to say, because there is a way. So with Dragoons, you could have a whole squad, and in addition to their normal weapons, they can take a Phosphor Serpenta. And so I guess I would actually argue that if you had a squad of 6 and they fired 6 times and they wounded 3 times, that they would count their cover save as 3 worse, because it says a weapon.
Well, that's fair enough, because you can take them in multiples. That does lead some credibility to that interpretation.
So it's hard to say. I'm not 100% convinced either way. I'm just saying that I know we're going to have some rule debates. So you can go ahead and debate that in the comments below, and what you think, what kind of precedents. Precedents are hard, though, because I remember looking at the whole rules debate about whether you need to roll to hit for psychic powers that don't have a profile, which we're not going to debate here. I remember we were looking for precedents, and I found precedents for both ways, like ones where it was ruled one way and ones where it was ruled the other way in the FAQs. And so obviously looking for precedents doesn't necessarily solve your problem. So you just have to kind of agree. And but I'd love to hear discussions on that, because there might be things that I'm missing that some people might point out, be like, well, it seems like if you read it like this, then this would be the case. But just remember, be nice when you're debating rules, because if people are debating rules, then they're probably not clear, no matter how clear you think they are. The last thing I want to see in their comments is, well, you clearly are dumb because this is obviously this way. Well, it's not obviously this way, otherwise we wouldn't be having the discussion.
No, exactly.
So
exactly.
So what do we have last? We have our taser weapons, our close combat taser. Why don't you explain those?
So the taser weapons themselves, like the taser lance is, I think, the one that we really care about more than anything else. Now, what's neat about this one is that it basically has 2 weapon profiles. So when it's charging in, it's got the, what is it? That one's the strength +3.
Yep.
When it's charging in. And that's used on the first turn of charge. So fantasy players are going to be familiar with this, the way lances work.
Yeah,
fantasy,
lances on cavalry and stuff.
Afterwards, the lance just becomes it just becomes a +2, or yeah, +2 strength.
Yeah.
To
Which
it all.
seems the other taser weapon is already +2 strength, so it seems that +2 strength for the taser is kind of your standard.
Yeah.
And so you get an extra strength for charging. You also get to double your initiative with the taser lance.
Yes,
Because of the
that's
joust,
right.
the joust
The
special
joust
rule.
special rule. That's right. Now,
love it. I love
as
it.
far as the strength goes, I'm not sure how big a deal that really is. Because it means on the charge, though, the Dragoons are going to be strength 8 at double their initiative, which is normally initiative right here.
3.
Yeah, initiative 3. So it means they are striking at initiative 6, strength 8. But then it just goes down to strength 7.
Hey, if you're playing against Necrons, you want strength 8 as much as you can.
No, fair enough.
Because then it causes instant death, which means that their reanimation will be 1 worse. They look for every way to make reanimation worse.
Oh, so we're just going to discuss how it affects Necrons.
Yeah.
All right.
I think that's what everybody cares about. How will Ad Mech kill Necrons? The end.
Well, they should be good at this. But even so, you're still wounding most things on a 2+.
Yes.
Which is still a really big thing, right? When even you're looking at Marines and wounding them on 2s, and even a lot of the heavier special troops. Like if you want to go back to the Necrons, your what is it, the Lich Guard at toughness 5, you're still wounding them on 2s.
Yeah, there's no difference there.
So.
But there is a taser special rule that goes along with it. And the taser is basically close combat Tesla.
Yeah.
Which is, I'm compared to Necrons, which is any roll to hit of 6 counts as 3 hits. So the specific wording is it counts as 2 additional hits.
Yeah.
So when you roll a 6 to hit, it's 3 hits, not 1.
Yeah.
And at first when I read that rule, I'm like, shoot, they didn't specify that except when snap firing. But then I realized that everything that had
Yeah,
taser
it's a melee weapon.
is close combat. And so there is no snap fire equivalent in close combat. Even if you're invisible units, it doesn't say that it doesn't get it. So when you're attacking invisible units and you have to hit on 6s, guess what? It's basically the same as hitting on 4s because a 6 counts as 3 hits. And like we said before, when you do that, the mathematics of it become that it's like hitting 2 better.
Yeah.
So this is actually not, it just came to my mind. Unfortunately, it's not on the strongest unit, but it's something that you could use to counter invisibility because that's where you'll triple your number of hits.
To an extent, yeah. I mean, invisibility, you're still hitting on 6s.
But then the
which is
6s are 3 hits. So if you're rolling enough
No,
dice,
fair enough.
it's equivalent to hitting on 4s, which you're most likely with your weapon skill going to be hitting on anyways.
But to really take advantage of that, you're going to be needing to run them in packs of 3 at the very least.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Depends what the invisible unit happens to be too, and there's all sorts of different Death Stars that like to turn on invisibility and go neener, neener, neener. You don't like this rule, and there's a good reason for it because it sucks and it shouldn't be in the book.
Now, of course, though, this is an AP dash, though.
Yes.
As well. So there is still going to be armor saves being taken by all these things. So
Yeah.
you're probably not going to want to charge them into, say, a unit of Storm Shield, Thunderhammer, Terminators, or something like that, or possibly not even Centurions.
They're initiative 6 though, so you know.
They're initiative 6, but you're going to get them bogged down in combat.
Yeah.
Like, and that's the thing. Like, you can get in there, you can bog them down, but that's going to be the best you're looking at.
Yeah. No, the AP dash kind of makes it, and all the Tesla weapons and Necrons are AP dash as well, so it kind of goes along with that theme of arcing weapons. So,
Like it's great just to throw extra wounds and make your opponent roll extra dice, because that is the best way of taking out, armor 2, armor 3. Just make them roll as many dice as possible.
Yeah, exactly.
And eventually they're going to fail one.
Yeah, even if it's not against an invisible unit, it'll still be useful.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, that covers all of our weapons. I think we've talked long enough for this first video. In our second video, which will be at the link below, we are going to start reviewing the models. And so you can go ahead and click the link in the video description below. Even if you're not a Vault member, you can still click it, get a free 7-day trial, get instant access to all the other videos that we've already made, and the thousands of other videos in the Vault. And if you don't like it, you can just cancel within 7 days, and we won't charge you. We don't want your money if you don't like the Vault. That's really all there is to it. So go ahead and click the link below. Thanks for watching, and happy wargaming.